Hello, welcome back. So in this video, I'm going to be comparing the Glossier Stretch Concealer with the Kosas Revealer Concealer. And I recently acquired this, have been trying it out, pretty much formed my thoughts already. And I don't like it. But in any case, I've had the Glossier Stretch Concealer in G10 for quite some time. I really like it. It comes in a pot. It has a lot of emollients and slip to it. It is somewhat of a light coverage concealer as far as they go. You know, it doesn't like really cover everything. It kind of just helps to balance out the skin. I find that the formula to be very forgiving and easy to work with. The color G10 is maybe a slight bit like peachy for me. But in a way that works for my under eyes. But a lot of the times I'll kind of just take my finger or my beauty blender and just like swipe it like this, and the amount that comes on my beauty blender is enough to like fill in my under eyes, and like also spreads really nicely to the redness like on my cheeks underneath. So I really like it for that. It's just got a very spreadable, easy formula, not super buildable, but the amount of coverage you get I think is like pretty flattering, and I like it for my purposes of on like a day-to-day no makeup basis. It leaves a very healthy emollient finish. It does look kind of juicy. Most of the times I will set it if I know I have a long day, if I just kind of want the color to cover up. I'm fine with leaving it unsetted, but I don't actually love how juicy it makes my under eyes look personally, so generally we'll opt to set it. There is that really. And I really wanted to try the Kosas Revealer Concealer for a long time because I've heard a lot of good things about it, first of all. But some of the things I've heard along the lines is that it is reminiscent of the Stretch Concealer, and I very much agree. Another reason I was very interested is because they have a pretty expansive shade range. The Glossier Stretch Concealer comes in like 12 shades, I want to say, and like this one doesn't really match me perfectly. But it's like light coverage enough that I make do. But in any case, I got the shade 3.20 because they have a few olive shades, and that's very exciting because I feel like that doesn't happen very often. So I thought, ooh, maybe this will be like a really good color match, and that'll make it for me. I do definitely see how it is reminiscent of the Glossier Stretch Concealer because it is similarly not, it can be a light coverage concealer for sure. So just so you can see it a little bit more clearly, there is the Glossier one, and then here is the Kosas one. And I do feel like this color matches me much better. It is a little like too something for me. And I'm not sure what. I want to say like orangey, which doesn't seem quite right. Again, it's a much better match, or maybe it's just too dark. I think it might just be too dark. I think my best match like ever is the Kogan Do Aqua Foundation in the shade 213, which I only recently learned and helped me confirm my suspicions that I'm roughly olive. And this shade has been touted, this Kosas shade in 3.2 has been touted as like the exact same as the 213, and I think it's just a hint darker, which is why it isn't working for me as nicely. But in any case, onto the formula of the Kosas Revealer Concealer. I really like to spread it in a thin layer. I literally just use like the tiniest dot on each of my under eyes, and then use a beauty blender to like sheer and spread that out. And that way it applies very similarly to the Glossier one, where it's just like a thin layer that leaves a little bit of juiciness, makes your under eyes look healthier and brighter and better, but not necessarily completely covered by any means. It has like, it shows your skin texture, but like a much more bouncy and hydrated version of it. So that is nice. And I find that when I apply it like in small layers, it works best for me. It is a buildable concealer, and I think that you can get up to definitely like a medium coverage concealer effect with this, whereas I wouldn't say the same for the stretch concealer. However, on me, I find that if I put too much of this product on, especially at once, it tends to bunch on anywhere that I might have like texture or flakiness, and it really emphasizes that, and that's something I really don't like about this. It's not like I was using a lot of concealer when I was first using this. I just used like maybe 2 little dots under my eyes and then like a few dots on my cheeks and would spread that out. And if I'm like flaky that day, I can really see it with this concealer. This side I have the Glossier one, and this side I have the Kosas one. And there's just a little bit of like crepiness right here. And I feel like the Kosas one does that all the time. I only put a dot of product and kind of spread it around the area, but I feel like if I put on more product, it would kind of clump up around this area and get worse. And this wasn't like particularly flaky or anything, but it does have the tendency to kind of catch. And then otherwise it looks pretty fine, but again, pretty comparable in terms of coverage. I think the Kosas one is a little bit off coloring for me, so I think this side looks a little bit brighter. And I think I could layer it up more here to like cover up the dark circles. But again, if I did, then I think it would get kind of crepey all over, and I'm not huge on that. The color is a little bit off, so that when it does, I think particularly when, no, I think when colors are not quite the right depth for me, it's more noticeable when like the product is bunching on my dry patches. So I think because of that, I've been liking this a little bit less. And one, the Glossier Stretch Concealer doesn't tend to do that like bunching on my dry patches thing. And two, though it's too peachy for me, I think the depth of the color is about right for my face. So it's not something I think I would notice either way. But yeah, the formulation is mostly good, but like more finicky than I expected, and I find myself just really like being poised to not like this, I think, because the scent is pretty atrocious to me. It makes the like experience of using it just poor, frankly. Oh my god, it smells like flowers, but like super strongly, and like I'll put a dot on my face and I can like, oh, woof. It's like, so I've gone off about how the Glossier Generation G lipsticks smell extremely strongly of roses, and it's like probably an offensively strong amount of scent, but for some reason I like it, and I like the way it kind of wafts to my nose as I put it on. This scent is stronger in the like amount of smell that you smell than the Glossier one, except I really don't like the way it smells, so it's very off-putting. And I've heard many stories about how this will go off quickly and smell like completely rancid. I don't think this is like a rancid smell. It's very like flowery and seems intentional, but because it's so strong, once it starts to go off, I could definitely see like if this scent were to turn bad, it would still be equally as strong and probably awful to use. So overall, I don't know. I really wanted to try this, so I don't want to say I regret my purchase. I'm gonna try to use up as much as I can and then maybe find someone else to like pass this on to. But like, I don't love the fact that the stretch concealer is so like emollient of the finish. What I like about it is its ease of use in terms of application, which I find the Kosas one doesn't quite match up with. I have to be careful about applying a very small amount, but it does have that similarly very like hydrated, juicy looking finish. So if that's what you are looking for, that would definitely make this concealer worth it. And if you're looking for something that gives more coverage than the stretch concealer, that would also make the Kosas one more worth it. But for me, those aren't necessarily qualities that would draw me to this product. I like the finish, but again, it's not like the thing that I loved about the Stretch Concealer in the first place. The scent, I'm pretty sure I'm never gonna get over the scent, so yeah. Oh yeah, and then another thing that would push someone to probably look into this concealer more is obviously the shade range. It's a lot broader and has more options than the Glossier one. But again, with the Glossier one, it's like, because it's more of a light coverage one, you can slightly get away with like some variants, but obviously if you can find your perfect shade match, then I think that would make a concealer that much better. Like concealer products, I feel like having a good shade match will kind of help to make or break a formula, and neither of these are perfect shade matches for me, so neither one is like edging out in that case. I think I've gone on enough and covered my bases with this. Yeah, has anyone else ever like smelled this before? I've only heard about people like saying when it's gone rancid, but man, like unless this is already rancid, but I don't think so. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Would love to know, I guess, if you like the Stretch Concealer, any other options out there that have worked for you. And thank you for watching, as always.